What is going on, you guys? It's your Popboy. This is upload number 1 on these sliders. There'll be more to come after this. So if you want to make sure you don't miss any, of course, you can subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff. You can keep up with everything I learn. But here's what we're going to do with these things this year. Like I said, there'll be multiple videos on them. And in each of those uploads, we're going to be tackling one problem, one issue with the gameplay, making it more realistic with these sliders. And we're not going to need to adjust every single one of these. Every year since I've been testing these, before I was even putting what I learned on YouTube, I was testing for myself. But I've always found that there's a fair amount that is perfectly realistic right at the default setting. So by the way, really important, if you guys are having a problem with the gameplay, there's a spot where you feel like something isn't realistic, please comment really on any of my videos, or you can hit me on Twitter as well. Either way, just let me know what you're experiencing, because I'm sure you're not the only one. But anyway, let's get to the first problem that we're solving today with these sliders. And that is the excessive reaching and going for on-ball steals, the abundance of reach-in fouls that are being called. That's what we're tackling today. And you can see I have it preset to Hall of Fame right now, but I will be giving you the slider adjustment for each of the difficulties. So the first thing here that we need to address is the AI defenders on either team just reaching in too much. It's just overly aggressive, undisciplined. But what we see here is you have other defenders, off-ball defenders, going out of their minds, and they're just like possessed trying to go for an on-ball steal. I mean, there's a time and a place to do this for an off-ball defender, but they're just going out of their way to try to chase these steals. And the worst part about it, look at his man. We're never going to want off-ball defenders to go running around chasing these off-ball steals and ignoring their own man, clearly. So this is what we're going to do for this. Okay, guys, the first slider we're going to take a look at, we're going to come down here to tendencies. And here it is, go for on-ball steals. So what we're going to want to do to fix this, the magic number is 30. And that is both for CPU and we're going to put this at 30 for the user as well. Because this is a problem for really all other 9 guys on the floor besides the one guy that you're controlling. With this set at 30, the off-ball defenders will still go for on-ball steals, but they're going to be much more selective, much more strategic. So what you're seeing here is when the ball handler dribbles into traffic, if he dribbles into trouble and leaves that ball close to an off-ball defender and kind of leaves it exposed, the off-ball defenders are recognizing, hey, that's a good opportunity to try to go for an on-ball steal. And as they're passing by you to follow their man, they might stop real quick to try to get a steal, but they're still making a good effort to get out to their man. They're not just totally forgetting about him like you saw they were before with it on 50. Now that's for the off-ball defenders. As far as the on-ball defenders, they're not just going to quickly resort to going for an on-ball steal like before. They'll actually play disciplined, move their feet, keep their man in front of them. Again, they'll be strategic. They'll try to wait for a good opportunity where the ball might be exposed, and then they'll go for it. Now, even with this knockdown from 50 to 30, there are still too many reach-in fouls called. So in order to address that, we need to come down here to the fouls. We're going to want to take this reaching foul frequency down from the default of 70. We're going to want to take it down to 52. And of course, we're going to want to do that for both the user and the CPU. It'll still punish the defender for being undisciplined and overly aggressive and going for too many on-ball steals, or not having good strategy, not having good timing, but at the same time, the ball handler is still punished for being too loose with the ball, leaving it exposed, dribbling himself into a bad situation. It's going to give us a lot more realistic number of reaching fouls and a lot better, more realistic ratio of reaching fouls and steals and steal attempts that don't result in either one. There is one last little problem we need to address with this here. What I found during my testing was that it was just a little bit too easy to get on-ball steals, and this was more so for the user than the CPU. I know this has been a big problem this year in modes where you have one user going against another user, like in the park or in the Pro-Am. It's way too easy to get on-ball steals. Everybody's just ripping each other left and right. But I honestly haven't found it to be nearly as big of a problem in the other modes where it's often a user versus a CPU or CPU versus a CPU. Yeah, in those situations, what I found is it's just a little bit too easy to get an on-ball steal. So what we're going to do to address that, we're going to do a couple things. First adjustment we need to make is in the attributes category. Okay, and that's going to be the stealing attribute. And the best numbers that I found for these, and you're going to laugh at this, it's very minor, but I'm telling you it makes just enough of a difference. For the CPU, I'm literally going to take this down, that's right, a single notch. And then we're going to come over to the user. I'm going to take it down 2 notches because like I said, it was just a little more glaring on the user side than the CPU side. Okay, that might not seem like much, but I'm telling you it makes just enough of a difference, and especially when you combine it with our next little adjustment here, and that's when we're going to come to the defense category here, and we're going to go to steal success. So for the CPU, we're going to drop this down 2, and for the user, we're just going to drop it down 3. So that's all of them, guys. That's all the changes we need to make to address this issue. So these are going to be for Hall of Fame difficulty, but let's talk about adjusting these for other difficulties. Okay, first of all, first thing you need to know, if it's a foul slider or a tendency slider, these will never vary for me based on the difficulty. Okay, because tendencies and foul frequencies are not difficulty things. They're realism things. Now for all the other ones, the actual numbers will vary based on the difficulty, but the amount that you're adding to or taking away from the default setting, that stays the same. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So on Hall of Fame, the default for steal success for the CPU is at 50, and what I did is took that down to 48, so I took it 2 notches below the default level. So if you play on rookie, the default is 30, so you're just going to take it 2 notches away again. If you play on pro, it's 40, take it 2 notches down to 38. Just look at how many notches I'm adding or subtracting from the default setting and apply that to whatever the default is for that setting on that specific difficulty. So that's what you're going to do to adapt any of these settings, like I said, except for the tendency settings and the foul frequency settings. Okay guys, I think we got it. Problem number 1 solved. So if you found this useful, you enjoyed the vid, leave me a like. I appreciate it. You can help the channel grow that way, and that way I'll be able to test more in the future and do more going forward to improve the gameplay experience. Okay, and speaking of which, I'm back to the lab. I'm going to go get back to it. Of course, I'll have more gameplay sliders going forward, but coming up next is the first defensive settings vid for 2K19. There's some big changes this year that really affect those. So of course hit me up if you need anything in the meantime, but I hope to see all you guys right back here next time on 2K with the Popboy.